Okay, good morning, everyone. So our topic today is about eukaryotic organisms. So in particular, I will finish with the eukaryotic that are under the kingdom Protista. So these are the uh, unicellular eukaryotic parasites, and I will also include other groups other organisms that are categorized with this group as well. So in general, we will talk about protists and talk about the supergroups where the other eukaryotic cells fall under. Rinig ba ako?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So very unique, very diverse eukaryotic uh, under the kingdom Protista. Eukaryotic microbes are very diverse. So uh, they have unique life cycles, morphological specialization, and you have different sources of food for these microbes. We will also, in our next lesson, we will study parasitic worms. But for now, we will concentrate on the protists. Okay, so there are other parasites as well that are in different under a different phylum. So you have different kingdom as well. So you have fungal pathogens. You have worms that are, of course, parasites. So we will discuss that in the future. But for now, we will concentrate on protists. So one of the well-known diseases caused by these protists is malaria. Okay, so you might think na malaria is caused by a bacteria or by a virus. Actually, it's caused by a eukaryotic organism. So this is under the genus Plasmodium, and it is transmitted through mosquito bites. Okay, so let's look at the what the eukaryotic organism looks like. So this is Plasmodium. So you can see under the microscope, it's a unique structure. So it has a form, sporozoid form, and then this is the feeding and the growing stage, which is the trophozoite. You can see also uh, a part of the cell the where the eukaryotic organism multiplies or grows in number. So I will discuss all these in detail in later lessons. So here we can see the an example of a eukaryotic organism. So it's parasitic and it has affected a lot of people. So right now in Palawan, there are still places where you have malaria, where it is malaria infested. Okay. Um, if you are bitten by a malaria infected mosquito, um, well, you may survive the initial illness, but if your immune system weakens, then the disease will come back again. So that's how problematic malaria is. It doesn't go away once you get the disease. So The alternative is to use pesticides, but of course, this will affect the environment since when you use pesticides, you'll not only kill the mosquitoes, you'll kill other insects as well. And this is important for the ecosystem. One strategy is to introduce genetically modified mosquito that will be incapable of spreading malaria and even dengue. So the strategy there is that this mosquito will compete with the same resources of the causing mosquito, and eventually it will be replaced. So that's the plan. Okay, so uh, the easiest way to get rid of mosquito-borne diseases is to make sure your environment is clean, so you don't have stagnant uh, in your place. So you make sure that you make sure that your environment uh, is free from mosquitoes. So minimize lang. So anyway, sometimes there's a misnomer pala no sa mga names ng disease. For example, ringworm is not actually caused by a it is not caused by a worm, it is caused by a fungal disease. So anyway, I'll just concentrate on uh, eukaryotic protists. So here is an organism that we will encounter a number of times. So this is Gardia lamblia. You can see the features of this eukaryotic protist. So right here in the picture, you can see it in its feeding stage, or you call it the trophozoite stage. In contrast to the stage where uh, it will form a cyst that will protect itself. No? So parang bacteria, you have endospores. So here you have a trophozoite form. Ang counterpart sa bacteria, yung vegetative state. Tapos pag harsh yung environmental conditions, it will encase itself with a protective layer called the cyst. So kita mo dito sa left picture how it infests a intestine of an animal. So ganyan karami yan, microscopic. And pag ganyan karami, it will of course lead to severe diarrhea. So mahirap matanggal ang mga uh, eukaryotic parasites. So historically, um, it is hard to categorize these protists, no? So ever since Leeuwenhoek looked under the microscope and he saw these animal kills, so my guess is he saw paramecium or other protozoans that are moving around. Since they are moving around, they look like animals hunting for food. So they are animal-like protozoans that Leeuwenhoek saw. And the first classification of living things by Linnaeus was that of it's a plant or animal. Actually, naabutan ko pa to nung tinuturo sa amin to. Yan lang yung division, either plant or animal. And then you realize na napaka-limiting yung classification. So even if you add another kingdom, fungus, napaka-limiting yung uh, classification dyan. So, yung under Kingdom Protista, it's like you're putting all uncategorizable organism in one kingdom. Kasi mahirap uh, i parang catch-all ano siya, catch-all kingdom siya. Kasi mahirap i-categorize itong mga uh, organisms na to. So kasama under these animal-like protozoans, you have plant-like algae, and you have fungus-like protists. So very diverse ang behavior niya. So you have also algae. So these can produce their own food. So they're like the uh, plants basically in the ecosystem of the ocean. So they're very important in the ecological system because they're food for a lot of uh, marine organisms. So they're photosynthetic and they may be unicellular and multicellular. You can actually see them, yung mga algae, as seaweed. So isipin nyo, plant kasi tawag nga is seaweed. Pero actually, it's an algae. It's a multicellular algae. Okay? So you can also find unicellular algae as well. And then you have animal-like protists. So they are moving around with cilia, flagella, or uh, their cytoplasm just crawls. So those are the ways where they can move. In other way, in other words, they are motile organisms. Okay. So among these important protists, uh, na hindi naman ano, these are not disease causing sa humans, pero they are important in the ecosystem sa mga aquatic or uh, marine environments. So planktons, you have zooplanktons. So these are animal-like. So they are motile and non-photosynthetic. And you have phytoplanktons, which are photosynthetic. No? So importante itong phytoplanktons kasi they produce almost 25% of the Earth's oxygen. So inaabsorb niya yung carbon dioxide, tapos puproduce na siya ng oxygen. So importante yun sa carbon cycle para hindi tumaas yung level ng carbon dioxide sa atmosphere. So importante yung phytoplanktons. In fact, you can see them blooms ng phytoplanktons. Makikita mo sa dagat. So kung yung dagat medyo kulay green, so kita niyo sa eroplano, medyo green yung dagat, it's probably because of the phytoplanktons. So importante yung food for all for many marine organisms. So importante yun sa food web sa dagat. So protozoans, they can be found even uh, on land. So may terrestrial at saka meron din sa water bodies like the ocean or freshwater uh, systems. So they are free living. Some are parasitic, and especially those that are parasitic, since they require a life cycle inside the host. So medyo complicated ang life cycle ng mga parasites. kasi may life cycle siya na nag-evolve with the host. So this can cause illness. There are others that are, of course, mutualistic, where both the host and the protozoan benefits from the relationship. So they're beneficial symbiotes and provide metabolic services to their host. So as mentioned earlier, this term tropozoites, so they refer to the feeding and the growing part of the life cycle. So when they're in this form, uh, they use energy in order to undergo mitosis. So they feed on small particles like bacteria. So some types of the protozoans live in the tropocyte form only, whereas others, if the conditions are harsh, then it becomes encapsulated. So it becomes a cyst. Okay, so para siya naging endospore kung bacteria yan. So when it is in the cyst stage, hindi siya hindi siya hindi siya nag-grow. Okay? So this happens when the environmental conditions are too harsh for the trophozoite. Okay, so when it is encapsulated, okay. Sorry for that. Medyo lumalala yung ubo ko for how many weeks na. So baka magpa-check up na ako. So anyway, you have encystment, wherein the trophozoite is covered by this protective layer. So that's called encystment. And when the conditions are favorable, then they remove the cyst. Okay, so the process is excision. So there are many ways in which protozoans reproduce. So one is through a binary fission. So in binary fission, it just divides equally. So the mother cell becomes two daughter cells. Another way is budding. So one part of the cell buds off. So ano siya, small portion lang ng cell. Eventually, it becomes a independent cell altogether. So we call that budding. And then another way is through schizogony. So in that process, the nucleus of the cell itself divides multiple times, and then you form many cells. So yung nakita niyo sa picture kanina, those are actually uh, those are actually many cells that are produced through this process, schizogony. So the products of this schizogony are called merozoites. So they are stored in structures known as schizoids. So nakita nyo kanina, okay, so ito, so nakita nyo may schizont kayo under the microscope. So nag-form ng schizont ang mga ang plasmodium. So nandun yung merozoite form uh, ng plasmodium. Okay. So let's look at another typical um, a life cycle of a parasite.
Oo. Oo, washing machine ko.
Okay. So seen here, you have itong Emeria. This is a chicken parasite. So tingnan natin yung stage na nasa fecal matter ng chicken. So nilabas ng chicken yung feces niya. So may oocyte. So it's for in the meantime it's not in its infectious stage. So several days it will take several days before this becomes infectious. Okay? So ayan, kung contaminated yung food ng chicken, you have the sporulated oocyst will be eaten by the chicken. So pupunta sa digestive system ng chicken. Eventually, the oocyst will release sporocyst. And then, mag-release siya ng sporozoites. So, it will invade now. It will invade now the gut cells of the chicken. So, magkakaroon ng feeding form na siya. So, trophozoite form na siya. So, it's now in its trophozoite form. So, once it is in the trophozoite form, the cells may divide again. So yung process is physogony. That means the nucleus will divide many times before it forms the cell. So within the host cell, within the gut cell, meron kang schizon. And then eventually, so merozoites na yan, no? So it's released from the schizon. And it basically they will form sex cells. So ito yung mga gametes. So may male and female. So when they combine through syngamy, you create the developing oocyst. So yun, lalabas sa tayo nung chicken, so the whole process repeats itself. So remember, there's a part na sa labas ng chicken, it's called an environmental sporogony. And then may stage na pagpasok sa chicken, may asexual schizogony, and then eventually through meiosis from the two end sets of chromosome, magiging one set of chromosome na siya. Ito yung mga male and female gametes. So this is the sexual gametogony. Okay, so protozoans reproduce through sexual reproduction. Importante yung sexual reproduction. So even if it's a microorganism, importante yan. Bakit importante ang sexual reproduction? Kasi importante yung diversity. So imagine if it's only a sexual reproduction, you have the same DNA all throughout the generation. So ibig sabihin, what if a disease that is fatal will attack the population? So yung buong population na yan, ubos. Patay agad dun sa fatal disease. In contrast to the same population na may genetic diversity, ibig sabihin iba-iba yung mga genes na nasa DNA niya, so may konting diversity. So ibig sabihin, may percentage dun sa population na makaka-resist ng disease na yon. Okay? So, kung napanood nyo yung Last of Us, no? So, ang story niyan, parang may fungal disease na nahawa yung mga humans, no? And they found a girl na may genetic resistance dun sa disease na yon. So, yun yung ano nila. So, parang they're trying to find a cure. So, kung halimbawa, yung malaman nila kung nung gene yon, hanapin nila yun, pwede through technology, ma-insert yan sa genes ng, ano, sa future to, science fiction naman. Pwede mong ma-insert yan sa gene ng baby, tapos yun, hindi resistant na siya sa sa sakit. Of course, there are ethical considerations as well. So I'm not pro genetically modifying humans. Pero the point is, uh, it's important to have genetic diversity. Okay. Protozoans can produce haploid gametes. So when you say haploid, di ba, yung chromosome kasi you have you can have two sets of chromosome. So ang tawag yun ay diploid stage sa life cycle. Tapos pag mag-undergo ng meiosis, so this 2n set of chromosomes magiging one set na lang. So magiging haploid. So yun, pag gumagawa ka ng mga gametes, which are basically sex cells, so you have the male and female gametes, magiging half yung number of chromosome. So sa humans, yung counterpart ng gametes natin, you have the sperm and the egg cell. So meron din counterpart ang mga protozoans. So when they fuse through syngamy. So another way in which they exchange genetic material is by joining to exchange DNA. So nagka-transfer sila ng genetic material through conjugation. Okay, so naglilipat sila ng mga genetic material. So this process is found in ciliates. So protozoans has plasmalemma. So that means they have a plasma membrane. And you have also bands of proteins. So para mas stronger mas rigid yung structure nila, they have a pellicle. Pero kailangan ng flexibility kasi for some protists, they need to move around. So rigid yung structure na yon, pero may konting flexibility. So we call that pellicle. So inside the membrane, protists have distinct layers of cytoplasm as well. So may layer ka na ectoplasm. So that's made up of actin, the protein, so microfilaments of actin. So this ectoplasm is an outer gel layer. And then you have also a fluid region, the cytoplasm called the endoplasm. So importante yung structures na to for their capabilities, for their needs. So these complex shapes, these structures help in forming these complex shapes. So depending on the needs of the protist. So meron siyang mga feeding structure. So parang digestive system siya, even though unicellular siya, meron siyang system in which they will take in food. So for paramecium, it will take in food through the process of phagocytosis. So pinapalibutan yung cell mismo, yung food. So this specialized structure is called the cytostome, and then it will exit through the cytoproc. So it's exocytosis ng waste, eventually lalabas sa anal pore. And then you have oral grooves leading to the cytostome, and they're lined up with the hair-like cilia to sweep in food particles.